Pawn Stars is known to be one of the most successful reality TV shows hosted by the History Channel. This series broke all types of TV records and made the Harrison family pretty wealthy. However, throughout the journey of the TV series Pawn Stars, the owner, Rick Harrison, had managed to lose quite a substantial bit of moolah. And in this video today, we're going to look at the top 6 moments when Rick lost some money. Hello and welcome back to our channel, Film Zone. But before we begin, I want you to subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon if it so suits you. Or pleases you, whatever. Also, it would be pretty cool if you turned on your notifications, just saying. That way you never miss out on any video by us. And with that out of the way, let's begin. During its day, the Austin Healey Sprite BRG was a very popular car. It even had a forum dedicated to it. The Austin Healey Sprite BRG looked beautiful when it showed up at the shop, but the engine wouldn't start. The owner said it must have been a dead battery, and Rick agreed, which turned out it was a big mistake. The owner wanted $10,000 for the car, but settled for $5,000. When Rick took it to the mechanic, he found out he was looking at $6,000 in repairs, making the car cost more than he could sell it for, as many of these cars were selling a lot less than $10,000 at the time. Although it isn't totally sure exactly how much Rick Harrison spent originally on his 1940s Indian motorcycle, which is a classic by all accounts, it is known how much he lost on the bike. It was part of his world-class loss at an auction in which he was trying to turn a quick profit, but he ended up taking a big header. He took this Indian with a sidecar, a Vic Flick-owned Stratocaster guitar, and some other items, and took them to Julian's Auctions in LA. He told the Indie Channel that he ended up losing $100,000 that day, which was $29,000 in the motorcycle, $35,000 on the guitar, and various other losses. While this late 50s Chevy looks awesome, it has tons of history. It was a horrible buy for the Pawn Stars group. Basically, this black 150 was at the center of a series of crossover shows on Pawn Stars. It was originally found and bought by the crew on American Pickers for $6,500. It was then sold to the Pawn Stars group for a tiny profit, then featured on American Restoration, where they paid a surprising $70,000 to restore it in total. The icing on the cake, though, was that it was then gifted to the old man. In all, Rick and his group were out almost $80,000, and to make matters worse, that $70,000 restoration did not include fireproofing, which was evident when the car later caught fire. Who wouldn't love to own the Back to the Future DeLorean? It's another iconic car that gearheads simply love because it's got a history to it. It's not because it was a great car or anything like that. It's just got sentimental value. I mean, some things don't need logic or reasoning or practicality. They just cool. So it's got some sentimental value for Pawn Stars boys, which kind of breaks their first rule of business, buying based on emotion. Rick bought the car for $24,000 from the owner, and despite it being a head-turner, that's just too much if you hope to sell this icon on 4 wheels for a profit. Back then, DMC-12s were listed online for $17,500 to $22,000. But if you had waited until today, these days they would sell from $35,000 to $100,000. Rick found this classic icon with his son Corey. It was a hot rod designed by Henry Ford himself with 500 horsepower, a folding convertible top, roll-up windows included on top of all that. The only problem was the owner of this iconic model was asking $105,000 for it. Rick's experts put the value between $70,000 and $75,000, and they finally whittled that price down to $68,250, which was probably not a great buy even at that valuation. However, afterwards, other experts said the car, which was a hot rod mod of the original, would only be worth about $50,000 in its current condition, which would mean they'd need to spend money on getting it worked on, and they wouldn't even be guaranteed a profit. So there's no doubt that the Pawn Stars team has it in for the Mustangs. They tend to buy them all the time, especially older models, because, well, they're popular, legendary, and usually fetch a good price. But that wasn't the case for the 1968 Mustang GT. It was ugly and rusty when it came in, and Danny Coker estimated its current worth between $12,000 and $15,000 without any repairs. Rick got the car for $12,500, already eating into expected profits, and just to make matters worse, the repair costs were exorbitant, making it very difficult for Rick and his family to turn any kind of profit on it. With that, we come to the sad end of the video. Let us know down below what you think on these purchases made by Rick Harrison. Until then, we hope to see you soon in the next video, and if we don't, I'm gonna cry and lose all faith in humanity. Yeah, that's on you now. Goodbye!